The curse of Daryl Morey lives. Styles make fights. It's funny because no matter how well the Warriors are playing, they see the Clippers, one way or another, they find a way to lose that game. On the flip side of things, when the Warriors see the Houston Rockets, it doesn't seem to matter who's playing and who's not. They're going to find a way to win that game. And so coming into this, riding a 5-game losing streak, morale down, Steph Curry's out, Draymond Green's out. This young Rockets team is climbing to the top of the Western Conference on their defense and their young core. And right away, I think it's noticeable with Kuminga. He hits 2 early threes, right? You could tell he knew he was the first option. And so it made him much more decisive with his timing on his attack and his rhythm. And you can see it in those first 2 3-pointers where one of them is a handoff from Looney and he hops right behind Looney into the 3. And it's a shot he would have never taken with Steph and Draymond on the floor that early in a game. He would have caught it and he would have looked to the other side to see what action's happening. He's like, no, they're not on the floor. I'm going to go right into it. It's in the breakdown today. It's a really good one. The link will be in the description for the Patreon. But yeah, just the decisiveness in the timing. Now, the free throw shooting has been an issue all year long with the team, right? And I had gotten on Kuminga about some of the basics and fundamentals. Hey, man, you got to shoot free throws better. Some of the basic stuff. But clearly, we know he's been in the lab. We've seen the tape all summer, and you saw him get to that. And in particular, that bump move where he plays the glass with like a push shot, or he'll even make it into a fadeaway, that's unguardable, man. That's unguardable. And it was just, as exciting as his attributes are, I think what's most exciting is his mentality and his motor. Because when you look at Andrew Wiggins, and we'll get to him here in a second, we know he's best suited as a number 2 guy, personality-wise, right? Kuminga looks like he wants to carry. It's not only like he wants to, right? He wasn't overzealous either. He kept his cool and he just kept on attacking. And again, not just the rhythm, I guess it's one and the same, but the timing. When you look down the stretches, they repeatedly attacked Şengün in those ball screens, and even the closeout drive, right, where he got the switch, is the timing of it. He was so precise when he chose to get downhill. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not giving him other options. He's not questioning, should I attack or should I move the ball? He's just attacking. And so we're getting to see him in what he can be. The other element is, look, I said this in go to the last Warrior video, and I was like, hey, man, if they want Wiggins and Kuminga to close and score more down the stretch, they've got to definitively just let him know, go to work, simplify it, just a ball screen, a switch, and let him ISO. And ironically, they were forced to do that against the Rockets with no Steph and Draymond. But moving forward, you can't only pull this weapon out of necessity. They've got to strike a balance. And we know, listen, as good as they looked offensively, kind of talked about them being liberated with not playing in the Draymond and Steph offense, we know, if Steph and Draymond missed a week, 4 or 5 games from now, everyone would be like, dang, man, we need Steph and Draymond back. Like, I'm not here to say we don't need them. It's striking that balance. And particularly towards the end of games, it can't be, hey, Steph and Draymond 2-man game just because they're Steph and Draymond. It has to be Steph and Draymond game to close it out because that's what makes sense and that's what's working, and vice versa. If it's not working, Wiggins and Kuminga are both fully capable, but you have to make it definitive. Clear out, simple ball screen, let them find their rhythm and their timing. And as you saw last night, they'll deliver, right? And Wiggins, not to knock him as a number 2, I'm talking more personality-wise, this redemption arc is in full swing now. We know he has the bad ankle. He's playing through it. He's playing well. He's rebounding. He's attacking. The only thing I could ask for him to do is pick the ball up a little stronger when you turn the corner, right? He's got to rip through and pick that up quicker. Those swipes are a pet peeve, right, that almost cost us. Pods. They continue to lean into this Podziemski thing. He hit that 1-3 early, and you're like, man, well, I think we're all waiting for him to hit 1 and then 2 and then the lid be off, right? But it's just not the case. And like I had said before, mechanically, I think there are some issues, and it's in his release. It's too much wrist snap. It's almost as if he's throwing darts. Instead of shooting the ball, he's like throwing a dart with his wrist. And then there's this jolt. And that's why you're seeing him miss so badly. But he had 12 rebounds. And I think that if you look at the team stats of this game, that is the big one. We out-rebounded them by 9, like 54-45 or something like that. And, that's what Houston does. They don't shoot well. They're one of the worst three-pointing shooting teams in the league. And in counter to that, they're the best offensive rebounding team. So Pods, had his impact on the glass and made some plays. But the shooting thing, I think he needs to literally get in the lab. We know that the mental bleeds into the physical and the physical bleeds into the mental. Like, definitely there's some confidence things going on, but there's some mechanical things with the snap of that wrist that he's got to work on. But yeah, man, can we take a minute here to acknowledge how good Kevon Looney has been this year? I mean, Looney's been really good, man. Contract Kevon, baby. What he's going to give you on the glass. But now that he's in shape defensively, on one of those final possessions, he switches out onto Jalen Green, contains him, forces him down the baseline, and he turns it over. Right? He's been super good all year long. And even Trace in his minutes last night, I was really impressed that he was able to switch out on Van Fleet. There were several possessions towards the end of the third quarter where Trace switched out and contained it and just played it perfectly. And I think that that's going to be a big part of his game moving forward when you consider his offensive limitations. As far as Houston goes, look, I like their core, right? I think we all agree they're one of these teams that feels like they're up next. Jalen Green, he just needs to be more fundamentally sound. We know that he's probably a top 5 athlete in the NBA, maybe top 3. I'm being modest, right? But along with that comes a lack of fundamentals. And he just makes things harder for himself than they need to be a lot of the time, right? And then the conundrum of Şengün, where you understand they don't have enough shooting. He's their best offensive option a lot of the time, especially down the stretch when the game slows down. But then he gives it right back on the defensive end. And that was really the key to attacking Houston last night, because they're a top 3 defense, but Şengün plays in drop coverage and then doesn't protect the rim. And that just doesn't work. Right? If you're going to play and drop, you better be a rim protector. But then he can't step up high either because he can't move laterally. And so you just saw Wiggins and Kuminga take turns turning the corner and getting all the way to the rim. To be fair to Houston, Tari Eason would have probably played way more than Şengün last night. And that may have made things look differently. But ain't nobody going to feel sorry for y'all. We didn't have Steph or Draymond either. So it would have looked different in that case, right? But I just think that I don't know how Udoka is going to handle that when it really matters, because I think Houston, we all agree, is going to be a playoff team, but I could see them getting like competitively swept in the first round, where it's like, dang, every game was competitive, but they're still so young. And then how do you match that Eason Şengün if you go small thing? Do you have enough offense if he's off the floor late? So that's something that they got to work out. But hey, I wouldn't mind seeing him in a playoff matchup when you consider, 15 in a row against these Rockets. So yeah, man, I think that never mind the standings. I know we were sinking in the standings. Just from a morale perspective, I know the fans needed this one, and I think they needed it. And now you've got a baseball series with the Wolves, who have seemed to get back on track here. It sounds like Steph and Draymond are going to be back, but they got to find a way to balance empowering Kuminga and Wiggins while obviously knowing the bread and butter, the system is Steph Curry and Draymond Green. And hopefully that was a little bit of an eye-opening thing for Steve, Steph, and Draymond. You saw them celebrating like, dang, he can do this. He can do this, right? I think that ultimately it's going to take Steph and Draymond to really nurture Kuminga as a closer and in having more of his offense, because I just don't know. Steve can say what he wants, but then the actions are different, right? So yeah, man, great win. Very encouraging. Now let's get this thing back rolling and, hopefully at the very least split this baseball series with the Wolves. Again, great breakdown of this one on my Patreon. The link is in the description. I'll be back after the Wolves game. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.